The flight attendant stepped in front of Sophia, causing the opulent first-class cabin to fall mute. "Pardon me, madam. There must be an error. This section is exclusively for first-class passengers," she declared with a frigid demeanor. Sophia's ticket was rendered dubious by the contemptuous looks of the affluent travelers, which felt like missiles piercing her heart. They were unaware that Eduardo Vasquez, a billionaire and the devoted spouse of Sophia, who also owned this airline, would shortly arrive and dramatically alter the situation. Sofia Mendes hesitantly adjusted the watch on her wrist, a gift from Eduardo that served as a reminder of their initial encounter. The flashy ensembles surrounding her in the priority boarding area were in stark contrast to her elegant yet basic dress, which she wore at the age of 35. The first-class cabin of Stellar Airways was illuminated by the inviting aroma of champagne, polished flight attendants, and opulent leather seating. Eduardo had urged her to fly unaccompanied as a token of appreciation for her successful charity event, intending to meet her at the resort at a later time. Sophia drew a long breath and presented her first-class ticket at the gate. It was time to indulge in a level of indulgence that she had previously refrained from as Eduardo's wife. Camilla Reynolds, the chief flight attendant, abruptly stated, "I apologize, but this area is reserved for first-class passengers." She then observed Sophia's modest attire with disdain. The air was pierced by Camilla's condescending tone like a knife. She appeared to be more of an authority figure than a servant, as she was attired in a perfectly tailored navy uniform and an elegant hairdo. Sophia replied, "I possess a first-class ticket," and she presented her boarding pass. Camilla's nails were illuminated by the overhead lighting as she meticulously examined it, as if it were contaminated. Camilla lifted her eyebrows and commented, "It appears that there is an error. It is possible that the information you have provided is inaccurate." She scrutinized the ticket with an excessive amount of scrutiny, her lips pursed in disbelief. Nearby, a man in a sharp suit looked up from his financial newspaper, adjusting his spectacles as he chimed in. This occurs frequently. These days, economy class is exceedingly congested. A few first-class passengers snatched glimpses, some attempting to suppress smirks while others observed with an uncomfortable curiosity. A couple in identical designer attire murmured, casting glances at Sophia and her simplicity. Camila, with an artificial smile, stated, "I will determine whether there is an available seat in the rear. I am confident that you will experience a significantly greater level of comfort there." Her emphasis on the word comfortable was unambiguous. "You are not welcome here." Sophia experienced a sensation of warmth emanating from her cheekbones. She remained composed, her training as a flight attendant returning to assist her. "Please verify again. My husband purchased this seat for me. Is he your spouse?" A woman wearing a substantial diamond necklace chuckled, her voice reeking of condescension. "Oh no, that is a common claim made by individuals who are in search of upgrades. Subsequently, you will assert that he is a prominent CEO or similar figure." The cabin reverberated with stifled mirth as Camilla exchanged knowing glances with another crew member. Sophia was reminded of the simpler life she had known before Eduardo, which gave her fortitude as she gripped the watch he had given her. She had encountered prejudice in the past, but it had never been directed at her former colleagues. An executive in the vicinity was tapping his armrest with impatience. He mumbled, "Some of us have meetings. Let's resolve this quickly." Camilla adjusted her posture. "She requested that you remain in this location while I resolve this matter," she stated, her smile being rehearsed and lacking in sincerity. "You should remain at the boarding gate while we clarify this." It was evident from her demeanor that the matter was not open for discussion. Sophia was overwhelmed by a combination of indignation, wrath, and humiliation. She contemplated disclosing her identity as the principal shareholder of Stellar Airways and the wife of Eduardo Vasquez, but ultimately refrained. What is the significance of mentioning her husband's name in order to receive fundamental respect? The cabin manager approached with a solemn expression. "Ma'am, there is an issue with your reservation. I would appreciate it if you could exit the aircraft while we address this matter." His demeanor was both professional and authoritative, thereby eliminating any opportunity for discussion. Sophia struggled to preserve her dignity as she endured the judgmental and pitying gazes of the passengers. A youthful executive typing on his laptop barely concealed a sneer, while a woman in her 60s clicked her tongue in disapproval. Sophia responded resolutely, "My ticket is valid. I am entitled to be present." Camilla's expression became strained. First-class seating necessitates verification in accordance with security protocols. The phrase, "just anyone," was a source of pain, as it was laden with potential repercussions. The aircraft door reopened, revealing Eduardo Vasquez, who was standing erect and commanding. The cabin fell silent as he entered, and his tailored navy suit emanated authority. The space was searched by his acute blue eyes until they encountered Sophia, who was in the midst of being interrogated. Despite his composure, those who were acquainted with him could discern an underlying tension in his features. He addressed her in a deep, resonant voice that filled the cabin. "Sophia, is there an issue?" Camilla and the manager's confidence evaporated as panic flickered across their features. The manager sputtered, "Sir, we are merely resolving a minor seating arrangement issue." Eduardo conducted himself with the composed confidence of an individual who not only possessed the aircraft, but also the situation as a whole. Every stride forward demanded attention. "That is my wife's seat. 2 A's, correct?" His authority was further enhanced by the melodic character of his Spanish-inflected accent. "Who is your spouse?" Passengers' gasps caused Camilla to echo, causing her face to lose color. The realization struck like a stone. Eduardo Vasquez was present. He stood beside Sophia, his hand resting protectively on her back. "Certainly, Sophia Mendez Vasquez. My spouse? Is there an issue with her accommodations?" The tone of his voice was both courteous and authoritative, as if he anticipated responses. The manager's assurance was shaken. "Mr. Vasquez, we were not informed. We were solely adhering to the protocol in order to confirm exactly what is being verified." Eduardo's gaze was laser-focused as he countered, scrutinizing the manager and Camila in turn. Should she be placed in first class solely on the basis of her appearance? The cabin descended into a state of subdued silence as the full extent of the error became apparent to all. Camila's face was pallid and trembling as she realized her error. "Mr. Vasquez, we were unaware," she muttered. Eduardo's presence in the cabin emanated authority and altered the balance of power. "It is evident," he declared with conviction. He surveyed the room, his piercing gaze capturing everything. Sophia's discomfort, the astonished expressions of passengers, and the crew's abrupt shift from authoritative to submissive posture. He expressed his pride, stating, "Did you know that Sophia was the youngest head flight attendant in Stellar Airways history before she married me? She is more knowledgeable about service and protocol than the entirety of the staff." The cabin reverberated with a collective shock as Camilla's complexion darkened, and the manager nervously adjusted his collar. "I requested that the flight be delayed in order to surprise my wife and and it appears that I arrived just in time." The term surprise suggested his calm authority, which caused everyone in the cabin to become acutely aware of the severity of the situation. "I am deeply troubled by the events that transpired today. As the majority shareholder of Stellar Airways," the cabin was filled with murmurs as his words suspended in the air. Camilla's self-assurance diminished as she endeavored to preserve her composure. "Does it not follow that misinterpretations have repercussions?" Eduardo spoke in a composed manner, but his demeanor hinted at an imminent danger. He immediately retrieved his phone and began to type. "Starting tomorrow, I will be implementing a new anti-discrimination training program for all Stellar Airways employees." Camilla's gaze was fixed on him. "Miss Reynolds, you will be the first to begin." The pin on her uniform now felt weighty, and Camilla could only nod, her visage ashen. Eduardo continued, turning to the manager. "And with regard to the Director of Customer Experience position we were seeking to fill, I am of the opinion that my wife is the most qualified candidate, should she choose to accept the position." Sophia, taken aback by the abrupt disclosure, gazed at him. "This was the first time I had encountered this position," she acknowledged. Eduardo addressed the passengers, expressing his regret for the delay. He also announced that champagne would be provided at no cost throughout the duration of the flight. He also stated, "Ensure that my wife receives special treatment during this flight. Your future may be contingent upon it," in a subdued voice to the personnel. Camilla affirmed, her demeanor altering completely as she prepared to serve with the newfound respect she had acquired. Sophia was previously disregarded by passengers, but they now regard her with reverence. Sophia and Eduardo savored a glass of wine on the veranda of their suite as they arrived at the opulent beachfront resort, the sunset casting a warm radiance. Sophia remarked with a smile, "You certainly made a dramatic entrance." Eduardo chuckled. "It was not the reunion I had in mind, but it was a pleasant experience to witness their reactions." Sophia peered at the ocean, contemplating, "For years I was hesitant to use your name or position, as I desired recognition that was based on my own merits rather than solely on my status as Mrs. Vasquez." Eduardo responded, "And you did exactly that. Your charity event generated a greater amount of funding for underprivileged children than any previous event." Nevertheless, Sophia hesitated, tinkering with the timepiece he had given her. Occasionally, I yearned for my autonomy and the professional trajectory I was cultivating. Eduardo conducted a thorough examination of her. That is the reason I established the Director of Customer Experience position, not as a favor, but because no one is more qualified than you. She was taken aback by the statement. Wait, you had this in mind prior to the plane incident? Eduardo nodded. It was intended to be a gift for your anniversary. You have the vision and the experience, and today, you demonstrated the critical importance of your input. She murmured, You never ceased to believe in me, even when I doubted myself, as tears welled in her eyes. Eduardo gingerly caressed the watch. Do you recall the statement I made when I presented that to you? Our greatest luxury is time, the manner in which we allocate it, and with whom. Sophia recalled their early days, when she served coffee in first class. Eduardo acknowledged, That flight attendant taught me more about dignity and excellence in 3 hours than I had learned in years of meetings. I was captivated by Sofia Mendez, a woman who treated all passengers with the same respect, regardless of their status, from CEOs to children traveling alone. Sophia felt lighter than she had in years while holding Eduardo's hand. So, what does the future Director of Customer Experience envision for Stellar Airways? He inquired tenderly. Sophia beams, I believe it is time for a new chapter. What were your thoughts on the unforeseen turn of events that transpired today? Were you as taken aback by Eduardo's revelation as the crew was? It is disheartening that an overwhelming number of individuals are undervalued solely on the basis of their physical aspect. Have you personally encountered this or observed an individual being dealt unjustly? I encourage you to subscribe for additional motivational narratives and to activate the notification chime to receive notifications for new videos. We value your feedback. Please let us know from where you are viewing the video and share it with someone who could benefit from the message of not condemning others based on their appearance. Please bear in mind that an individual's worth surpasses their external aspect. We will continue to share stories that inspire respect and dignity for all until our next meeting.